morning! It's round 4 of the Maia Chess Open, and today I'm playing a local, a Portuguese rated 1970, which has already beaten two 2100 ELO players. So, chef, what did you cook for us today?
So I hope that today, for the first time, we will really get the prep on the board and be able to have this delicious position. So we have quite some information on the player.
We are expecting Gotham Chess.
Caro-Kann. Is that what the Gotham Chess recommends? Ah, okay. I found the forced way to win, guys. Caro-Kann, don't play Caro-Kann. I'm just joking. There is no forced way to win. But we have some nice sacrifices or some nice endgames. So there are two things. Either slow play, nice endgame, or some crazy boom boom rook sacrifice, bishop sacrifice, everything sacrifice.
So if you see I played like Magnus Carlsen, you know what happened. If you see I played like Mikhail Tal, you know as well what happened. See you after the game.
Hey everyone, well, it's not who you expected. It's me, Noel, and today I'm going through Alessia's game because sadly she wasn't able to play her best chess and she was a little bit upset after the game. So we said, okay, why not change it up a little bit? I'll do the recap so she can relax, she can, you know, get some fresh air, and then hopefully tomorrow she will be back. Before I go into the game and I tell you what went wrong, what she could have done better, and how you can yourself, you know, restart after such a defeat, please make sure to go down in the comment section and write Forza Alessia. I'm sure she will appreciate it. If she has all of your guys' support, then she will already feel better about herself. Also, if you're already at it, please like the video. Okay, let's go into it. So we expected a Caro-Kann and we got a Caro-Kann again. But like in most other days, so this is what we were expecting, we get a little surprise from our opponent. They seem to, you know, maybe they are scared of the preparation we do, maybe it's just a little bit, you know, unlucky. This opponent decided to play knight f6, which is also a move that is played a lot, and Alessia has shortly played through her file, but she didn't get specific prep from myself for this game in this line. So after knight f6, she took on f6, e takes f6. Very normal, this position nowadays, but it looks a bit strange if you think that black already on move 5 allows a doubled pawn. And usually double pawns you don't like, and usually if you have double pawns, so let's talk about these double pawns right here. You have these 4 pawns against these 3, where black can't really make a passed pawn. So if we imagine a future endgame, actually that would be good for white, because white has 4 against 3 on this side and can make a passed pawn, but black can't. But black has a very, very safe king in the future, and it's not so easy for white to create a passer or to create play in the middle game. So Alessia goes for c3. It's very important not to be overly optimistic and go c4 right here. c4 is not a good move because suddenly you have this weakness on d4. Black will start attacking this pawn. So c3, very important move. This was still theory. Bishop d6, bishop d3, castle, queen c2. And now comes again, some of you guys will say, what the heck is that move? But this is a very modern move, and this theory, which is h5. Oh, no, sorry, rook e1, rook e8 check, knight to e2, and h5 is played. So this pawn is attacked on h7, right? So this pawn right here is attacked, but you would have different ways of protecting it. You could play g6, for example. You could play h6, but black decides to play h5. Now this is, again, this is modern chess, this is engines that have come up with these kind of pawn moves, and it's very important to notice, if you get this game ever, and you get g6 from your opponent, you can already start an attack. So this would be dreamland for Alessia, because here you go h4, you go h5, you try to take, you try to sacrifice, and you're trying to just checkmate your opponent immediately. This is actually already super uncomfortable. So, well, our opponent was prepared he wouldn't make that mistake. So the difference between h6 and h5 is that the pawn on h5, sometimes when Alessia would play knight g3 in the future, right now she can't, right? Her king would be under attack. But after knight g3, there would be annoying h4, and this knight has to jump away again. So this is like an active move, and it's not so easy for white to attack this pawn here on h5. So h5, very, very interesting move. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, what the heck is going on? But it has become very, very standard theory. Okay, Alessia goes on playing castles, still in her prep. And now black goes knight to d7. And right here, Alessia told me was the first move when she had to think a little bit. She wasn't as sure what was supposed to be the move right here. We have different ideas. So I can put the rook in the center. White can try to develop bishop to f4, can try to develop knight to g3. At the end of the day, Alessia decides for a standard move, bishop to e3, a developing move, certainly not where the game has gone wrong. Black goes knight to f8, and now Alessia decides to play h3, a useful move. This pawn won't hang. In the future, maybe the king will have a luft on h2, and also this g4 square is now protected. Black continues development, bishop to e6, and now here I would probably just put the rooks in the middle and then see what happens. You know, we can do something like this. But Alessia decided to play knight to f4 and trying to get the bishop pair right away. Now this is looking a little bit at this pawn on h5, and the opponent just decides, okay, this knight is annoying, let's just capture it. Alessia captures. And here when I watched the game, I was super surprised. So black plays a logically looking move, plays b7, b5 right here. That was the game move. But according to the computer, the best move for black here is knight to g6. Just giving up a pawn. That's how computers think nowadays. That's just crazy. Just giving up a full pawn. Black is just playing queen to d5, and apparently black has enough compensation. As you guys might know, when you have opposite colored bishops, the game tends to be a little bit drawish, but it's like no way a human ever plays like this. So this is just a short thing that if you go through your games and you see the engine is saying something, but it just doesn't make sense, sometimes it doesn't make too much sense. Obviously, I don't want to say the engine doesn't know. It's for sure the best move objectively, but it's not something a human being would play. So here, Alessia's opponent goes b5. What is the idea of b5? b5 tries to stabilize and tries to control these squares right here. So black is playing on the square of the bishop, like on the white squares, okay? Because white has two bishops, black has a bishop and a knight, and black has better control of the light squares because both the bishop and the knight can control these light squares, while white's bishop on f4 obviously can't control light squares. So in this case, when you have bishop and knight, you usually want to play on the squares of your bishop, and the opponent has bishop, bishop. Okay, so white will try to get something going on the dark squares, and black will try to get something going on the light squares. And here was the first moment where I wasn't fully convinced with Alessia's play. I think it's always important to just play super simple chess, try to develop your pieces, and both of these rooks, I will take away these other colors, so both of these rooks are not developed yet. So it would be very logical to go, for example, rook f to e1. What is the idea? Well, we might just as well get the rooks in the middle, doubled, and then maybe we can swing them over. Maybe we can slowly start to improve our position. Maybe we can swing the queen right here, looking at this pawn on h5. So something like that would have been very logical. Game can continue, I don't know, rook f1, maybe queen to d7. Maybe we can push our rook up. Black can maybe play bishop to d5. And now we can start to think about maybe b3, d4, or we can, as I mentioned before, rook a to e1. Very important to mention that whenever you play something like rook a to e1, black can't really capture this pawn because we play b3, and this poor bishop is gone. So that's very, very important to always keep in mind. a2 seems like it's hanging, but most of the time it's not really hanging. Here Alessia goes a little bit for the wrong plan because she starts playing a4, and we will see next move why a4 isn't ideal. Black plays a6, and now Alessia realizes that she wants to get some control over these squares as well, so she plays b3. But the problem with this move is that now this b3 square is weak, right? So if we would have a pawn on a2, let's go here. If we play b3 here, okay, I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that, okay? b3, maybe rook's in the middle, at some point c4, okay, we can do that. But if we play a4 first, and then b3, this b3 square is getting weak, and that's one of the problems Alessia will have. And now the opponent goes for a very interesting idea, which is playing b4. Basically saying, okay, if you take me, I can take on d4. If you push, I can take on d4. And if you don't do anything, I will destroy your pawn structure and have a beautiful, beautiful square on d5. Now, you might also see the engine is, well, suggesting many things for white and actually likes white a bit better, but it's not that easy. For example, just playing something like c4 in a game where you just give up a full pawn, bishop e3, queen e5, not really clear why white has such a great compensation. So I think humanly, this is very tough to find. So I wouldn't say that Alessia should have found this move c4. Now, c takes b4 is also not so easy to find because there is queen to d4. And now you either have to give up b4 or you have to play this move queen to d2. Queen to d2 can be a move that is interesting because we're suddenly threatening bishop to h7 check, and then this queen will be hanging. But again, you also put yourself like on a file with this rook, so it's not that obvious that white is doing so well here. Also b3 is hanging all the time, so I also don't like this option. So here I thought that humanly speaking, black has achieved something, even though the computer still says, hey, white is doing great. So let's just going rook f to d1, which is very logical. It's like this pawn will hang soon, so let's protect it. B takes e3, queen takes e3, and now bishop to d5. And now we see the idea of black. Black's play starts getting easy because this bishop is amazing. It's a monster. This bishop is looking right here on this b3 pawn, but also right here towards the king. And the bishop going away allows the knight to finally jump into e6. e6 again, very nice square for this knight. It can later jump to g5. We'll see that in the game, but also d4 is weak. So humanly speaking, again, this position is a little bit easier to play for black. So Alessia was very upset after the game, but in general, I think there were a few inaccuracies, and then the position got already hard to play. So sometimes don't be too harsh on yourself, you know, bad games happen. So Alessia goes for b4, which is logical. This pawn was hanging all the time. Let's push it, let's control some more squares. And black goes with the logical knight to e6. And now again, a decision for Alessia. Where do I put this bishop? Do I want to keep it on this long diagonal, or do I want to keep it on e3? And here, this might be counterintuitive to some, but I like bishop e3 much more because we want to keep control over this diagonal and over the pawn. In order to play this move, you need to realize that probably you're not much better and you just wanna, be safe, maybe even drop back your bishop to f1, put your rook on c1, and then see if you can do something. Otherwise, maybe the game at some point will end in a draw or is just equal. Alessia goes for bishop h2, which looks nice, right? This bishop, looks so beautiful. But the bishop doesn't do much there, and we will see later that the light squares will become a problem. So black goes queen to d7, nice developing move, and Alessia here maybe not sure what she should do, right? Few moves back, Alessia moved her rook from f to d1, and the computer always said, hey, rook to e1 would be better, right? Just put it back there. Again, psychologically, humanly, very hard to put the rook on d1 first and then to e1. So yeah, there are many moves that should be equal here, but I would prefer to play black if I could choose. So I would choose rook e1 here and just try to maybe get the rooks off the board if the knight is moving and see if I can create something. If not, okay, it's a draw. That's also fine. But Alessia chooses this rook to d2 move. And now maybe she was a bit surprised that black can start to attack. Guys, what did I tell you? On which squares should black play? Black should play on the light squares. Okay, so this bishop is already doing something against the king. This queen is hidden, but is doing something against the king. And now the knight is coming in. And this is already super difficult. Now we can see that small little mistakes, they start adding up, and this opponent really plays very, very well for his rating. I have to be honest. Alessia said, well, she also didn't play well, but that's true. But also this opponent really, really plays well. Kudos to him. Knight to g5, a very nice move, because the idea is to start sacrificing here, and then play on the light squares. The king will be exposed, and this bishop on h2 is actually not doing anything. And now we see also why the bishop on e3 is nicer. We can just capture this knight, get over with it. There's no attack anymore. Sadly, that's not what Alessia can do now. And here, the only move that doesn't just straight away lose big amount of material is bishop to c2, because you want to keep an eye on knight to e4, first of all, and your queen needs to start protecting the h3 pawn. That was a combination of things, but black can just start doubling the rooks, for example, or black can also play knight to e4, play this kind of position where this bishop is just stronger than this bishop, the king is a little bit weak. You can see that these pawns around the king are amazing for black, so this is a difficult position to play. So here, yeah, it's like slowly, all your choices seem not so good anymore, they don't seem so nice anymore, and then a blunder is happening, because Alessia here goes rook to e2 and misses a big, strong move from black. If black would exchange rooks, then we have nice control with the queen on h3, and sacrifices are not working anymore, and now we are rather happy with white. But sadly, black is just boom, sacrificing this bishop on g2. And this is just super, super powerful. And here there's not much to do anymore. White captures, black goes check. Now, for example, we go king to h1. And now black has several moves. For example, knight to f3 is just picking up this bishop on h2. But the computer insists, hey, there is a checkmate. So let's show the checkmate. Check, check on h3, check on h1. And now we capture this bishop and give a checkmate. So very tough situation to be in. And this opponent, as I mentioned, bishop takes g2, found it, and very nice move. And now Alessia is really, desperate. You need to do something crazy because you can't take that bishop, but this is hanging. Knight f3 is coming, queen h3 is coming. Like, everything is bad right here, and this doesn't change anything. Just to show, this is still the same problems here. Knight f3 coming, and it's GG's. So Alessia goes for bishop takes a6, which is quite interesting. I liked actually the idea of that move, because if black just captures, we can now capture here and capture on g2. Now, even though we still have problems because our king is very, very weak, we at least prolong the game and we have the same amount of pawns right now. So that was an interesting find from Alessia. Sadly, the opponent just keeps doing good moves, keeps finding the best moves. Bishop to f3. Problem is, rook is hanging, bishop is hanging, this pawn is hanging, and the queen is coming in. So what do? Alessia went to rook to e3. The idea is that if queen takes h3 here, we can play bishop to f1, at least trying to prolong the game somewhat. Black goes rook takes e3, f takes e3, queen takes h3, checkmate is threatened, we have to stop it somehow. If we go back here with this bishop, then queen g4, king f2, knight e4. Ay, that is hurting. So that's not amazing. So Alessia didn't play bishop f1, went rook a2, but sadly now black just calmly picks up the piece on a6. We've arrived at the position where Alessia is a pawn and a piece down. And yeah, there's no hope anymore. I can show you the rest of the game. Queen to d3, rook takes a4, very nice find again. White can't take because there is checkmate on g2. So queen c2, bishop e4, queen a4, knight f3 check, king f2, queen takes h2, king f1, bishop to d3, and now Alessia resigned because next move, if she plays rook e2, black can take with the bishop or with the queen and give a checkmate. That's what can happen if you start with some inaccuracies. I still think that the opponent really played well. Alessia wasn't as familiar in this structure and sadly didn't find the best moves, but I'm confident that tomorrow she will play a better game. Guys, remember, write in the comments, please write Forza Alessia. She will appreciate it. She will come back with better energy. And then if you liked this recap, you can also check out the recap from the day before where a kid disrespected Alessia twice in the same tournament. See ya.